The BET Awards was last night, and Kevin Samuels was honored. And that made some people upset. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. Kevin Samuels was trending this morning throughout the day, because yesterday during the BET Awards, they had a segment, the In Memoriam, and they honored his life. Boom, put him up there, and some people took issue with that. The man was insanely popular. The man was very well known. The man accomplished so much with social media, mastered not just the YouTube algorithm, but the Instagram algorithm as well. Did a great job at what he was doing. He was good at what he did. Just point blank, period. He was good at what he did. Now, you can disagree with him, but now the irrationality to act like he wasn't good at his job shows just the lack of any kind of, but it shows you what emotion does. Emotion robs people of reason. I get that people don't like him. And I was thinking that I get why people might be upset. And I'm like, no, I don't get that. Because Wendy Williams, if Wendy Williams dies and she's provided an in memoriam segment, I'm not going to get mad. I know she was very popular. Well, no, decades long career. Okay, she's famous. If she dies, I get why they would give her a segment. I may not give a damn that she's dead, but that's me. For me to sit there and act surprised that she got one would be ridiculous. But I get why people don't like him as a person, because, like I said, I don't like Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams' show ended the other day, and I don't feel an ounce of sympathy, an ounce of sadness that Wendy Williams didn't get her flowers and she didn't get a proper send-off. Do you know why I don't give an ounce? Because of what she's going through, her mental and emotional difficulties. I remember repeatedly when she made fun of Lauryn Hill. Repeatedly, and it seemed to me to be very, very specifically targeted towards Lauryn Hill. Why? Because Lauryn Hill isn't the bootlicking sellout that Wendy Williams is. And she hates her for it. She hates that Lauryn Hill stood on her issues, stood on her principles, stood on her blackness, and it pissed Wendy Williams off. So Wendy Williams had to constantly berate and just disrespect Lauryn Hill every chance she got. Even when Lauryn Hill was going to prison, she's like, oh, she told her audience not to feel sorry for her. Oh, because she should have paid her taxes like everybody else. Like, see, I'm talking about being a bootlicking bitch? That's what Wendy Williams is. And I know this is supposed to be about Kevin Samuels, but I had to go off for that tangent. Back to Kevin Samuels. So I get why people may not like Kevin Samuels. They may feel about Kevin Samuels the way I feel about Wendy Williams. That being said, I do not feel that way about Kevin Samuels. I think he accomplished a lot. I like what he did with YouTube. I like what he did with Instagram. And as a content creator, I look at that and I'm like, there's lessons there. And there's stuff that he would talk about from that standpoint that I'm like, okay, those are things I definitely pay attention to. And I try to incorporate in my own content, in my own strategy. But the vast majority of people know him and were drawn to him for his commentary on relationships and self-improvement, really, because he did have a lot of content on improving yourself, and he was blunt with it. Quite frankly, a lot of us need the bluntness. And I really appreciate that. And we've got to get to a point where we stop taking ourselves so seriously, and not even taking ourselves seriously, but thinking of ourselves as being above criticism, of thinking that we deserve to be praised even when we're failing. We don't. Like, at a certain point, we need to be able and willing to face reality, to deal with objective facts. And if we're failing, if we're not doing the jobs we're supposed to be doing, then we need to get called out on it. We need to look at ourselves and be able to see it. And if we don't, we need to be able to accept counsel from others when they see it and they try to pull us up. Because frankly, a good friend isn't going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you what you need to hear. They're going to tell you, hey, you are fucking up. You're not doing it right. You're not taking care of your business. You're not being ambitious. Your goals are unrealistic, or you have no goals. You have no plan to implement your goals. When somebody is telling us these things, we need to have enough sense, enough humility to be able to accept accept accurate criticism, and then act on it. As he was trending today, I'm looking at some of the stuff that, past things he said. And there's one where he's talking to a guy, and he's telling the guy that, yeah, if this was like caveman times, or, times where we had to just hunt for our own food, he says, you'd be sitting there with the woman. Like, you'd have to be dependent on the mercy of some other man to feed you. And he said, and you wouldn't be able to whoop anybody. So you'd just be in the corner like a woman waiting to be fed. If you got fed at all. He said, nah, it's unacceptable. He said, you shouldn't accept that. And if you've been listening to my show, then you need to be putting into practice some of the things I've already talked about. He told the man to get a job. The dude didn't even have a part-time job, apparently. Not even a part-time job. So yeah, like that kind of bluntness, some of us need it. A lot of us need it. And a lot more of us need it than are willing to acknowledge that we need it. But there's something else that I really appreciate about him. Something else I really appreciate about Kevin Samuels, and people don't talk about it enough. And I've seen it time and time again in his footage, in his content. He would ask people, like the woman that people are saying he's criticizing and he's demonizing and he's disrespecting, he'd ask them, are you in therapy? Are you in therapy? And if they weren't, he said, you need to be in therapy. Like, Kevin Samuels was a huge proponent of therapy. And I think that's something, especially within the Black community, we have to be willing to acknowledge. Like, even if we're going to take a look at it from being Black in America, there's a need for us to go into therapy. There's a need for us to deal with a lot of the racial traumas that we've experienced in this country. There's definite need. But beyond that, and just dealing with our interpersonal dynamics and dealing with issues we have in family, domestic issues, relationship issues, like that's something we really need to be willing to accept. But there's so many of us that think of therapy as, oh no, that's for crazy people. That's for them. And I was originally going to film this video earlier, but I had to go to therapy today. Now I'm back from therapy, and now I can film this. Like I have no shame in saying I go to therapy, and I'm not in therapy now for what I was. For those of you who may or may not know, when I came home from prison, I was in prison for a long time. I had to get some anger issues dealt with because I was like the anger, the rage that I was dealing with was very unhealthy. And fortunately, I've gotten past that. But therapy is something about helping you continually to progress, helping you to process some things about yourself, things from your past, things about bad habits you may have. Like, it's a very useful thing. And it's something that particularly in the Black community, we have to stop running away from. Because like there's this even there's these sayings we'll say to each other, oh yeah, what therapy, that's some white people shit. Like, no, we have brains and trauma and experienced things as well. Like, there's no reason why therapy shouldn't be some Black people shit. There's no reason. There's no reason why Black people should be, but we're lying to ourselves. We're telling ourselves that kind of stuff to avoid dealing with the reality that we have stuff to work on. And that's one of the things I have to give Kevin Samuels an enormous amount of credit for. The bluntness and the willingness to tell us, hey, we need to work on stuff. And we need to be able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Yeah, I got some stuff I need to work on. And then we need to be working on it. So I'm glad they gave him a shout out. I'm glad they honored Kevin Samuels last night, because I think he did have a significant impact on people's lives. And just that piece alone about therapy and being willing to look at ourselves, I think is something that needs to be talked about more in relation to what he did. And I think it's something I want to try to incorporate more in my content. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. But if you disagree, if you think, I don't care, Kevin Samuels hated Black women, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. And in the comment section, tell me how much of his content you've actually watched. And what I'll do is I'll provide links in the comment to short clips that will provide you a different perspective of him. just because I don't expect you to watch hours and hours, but I will pinpoint some key points that may give you a different perspective of who Kevin Samuels was and some of the things he said. As always, I'll see you next time.